Hey guys, it's Levi. So I'm going to repick my Dom IX 10kg. I talked with the mods about it. You know, they were good with my previous video, but I had like a splice in the middle. They said it was pretty obvious I wasn't hiding anything. But in order for it to be Hall of Fame, he had recommended that I reshoot it, so I'm going to. When I initially shot this video, I was looking at this key. I had never seen this lock gutted before. Although a lot of people had picked the Dom IX 10, they hadn't picked the Dom IX 10kg. And there were a bunch of people who picked that specific lock right before I picked this one. The only difference is there's an interactive element here in the middle, and I'll show that here in just a second. So I originally thought that this was an 11-pin lock, 5 dimples on each side, plus this interactive element here in the middle, if I can get it to focus. There we go. That little guy. Turns out this is actually just a standard cut on the key, and what they do is there's a hole there in the plug, and they like kind of put another sleeve in it. There's a bump here in the center of the core, like you would expect, bumps that interactive element up, and the interactive element is actually like half the diameter of the regular pin, and it comes at an angle like this. So you actually only pick 4 pins on this left side, 5 pins on this right side, and this interactive element is actually picked from the right side because it terminates right between these 2 pins. And so, you know, I didn't know that, and I was just kind of talking when I picked it and when I gutted it because I'd never seen it before. Lock does work just fine. Start off with, I'm going to use this standard Honest Dong Shi or whatever dimple pick. It's a center flag because for a bit of interesting history, the only pick I've ever broken has been in this lock. I broke the appropriate flag that I would use. And you're actually going to see I'm going to tension it this way. And I'm going to pick this way, and that's just because it works better, not because that's the way I like to do it. But I think it was Culper Woodhull who had said in his video of his Dom IX 10 that whoever had mentored him had said the lock was a bit of a pickier, and that's true. Like I said, I've picked a lot of locks, and you know, obviously I'm sitting here picking another red belt lock, and this is the only one I've ever broke a pick in, so take that for what it's worth. So we're going to start off with a bit of heavy tension, and so I just want to note that while I'm just repicking this just for it to be Hall of Fame, I'm also kind of picking it as like a mentorship video. I've given some tips on another lock before to somebody, you know, for my red belt, but I'm actually going to send this lock out to him, and so this is going to serve as like a mentorship guide to him and to anybody else who randomly comes across this lock. You know, it's not popular in the States, but you know, it'd be out there for everybody to see. So we're going to start off with a bit of heavy tension. It's important the way this lock tensions to hold back on it because the wrench has a tendency to pop out. So you see I'm like giving it backwards pressure here. I'm going to try and refocus here on the lock. There we go. And you're going to see some dramatic core movement here. As we get under these things, these pins bind quite firmly. It's not like a multi-lock or anything, but you definitely are getting movement generally every time you're setting a pin. Just the way that I pick it, it does. So we get these first couple here on this right side. We got one that's not wanting to go all the way. And like I said, I'm holding a lot of tension on here. Some people who watch LPL's videos would say, oh, you hold tension until your finger turns white. Exactly. I'm trying to get this thing where I want it, and I'm gonna let off tension just a little bit. This center flag is not ideal for this, but that's what I got because, like I said, I broke my other one, and I don't want to use my multi-picks to do this part of the job. So you see I got a little bit of core movement there. I'm gonna come back here to number 3. He's about halfway up right now. And it's got the shark fin pins in it, so you know you're constantly, there we go, constantly slipping off of them. I'm gonna come back here and check, but I know that that's not our target right now. Let's see if we can go down here with this guy. So my number 3 left side, it clicked. There we go, you saw a little bit of core movement. I touched 2 and it came up. My pick is kind of stuck. This is normal. I'm gonna switch to my multi-pick flag. I just would really rather not break one of these off in there. Oop, see that? The tension wrench popped out like I was talking about. I didn't hear anything click back down. But so I'm gonna let off the tension just a little bit. Getting crazy now. I'm gonna pull out and I'm gonna keep it nice and tight in there. What I'm trying to do is not give a lot of tension upwards, but keep the pick in the right time zone as far as being in that gap. I'm gonna go through and kind of check everything. And some of these pins bind quite firmly. So like you'll see that, well maybe you won't see, but I'm letting off tension. You'll hear pins click down perhaps. I'm just letting off an overset. And I'm holding a lot of tension backwards to keep it in this gap right here. You know, having the camera in front of me is like, I got pin 2 on the left side set here. It's quite a distraction here. So I told you guys about that interactive pin, and really what I'm doing is I'm sliding it, my pick back in here, trying to find it because the diameter is very small. So what I'm doing is I'm sliding it back there. I feel that bump on the bottom of the core, and I'm searching for it on the top. Let's see if it is ready to set yet. And you know, you got these little shark fin pins poking out everywhere, so it's kicking your pick all over the place. But that interactive element is between pin 5 and pin 4 on the right side, where it terminates kind of down at a pretty severe angle. And really the kind of the tip of it is right between the middle edge of pin 5 and pin 4, and it comes back up that way, so you really have to pick it to the left. That's why we're picking in this direction. So I just have very, very light tension at this point, because I know we have most everything set. pen is such a small diameter that it can be. I have the widest curve flag of this like direction that comes with the multi-pick set. Maybe we've got something that's not quite set out here. But I don't think so. I think we're just waiting on that interactive element. We might have something halfway up somewhere. This pin 4, I'm kind of skipping around on the right side. You see it's kicking my pick out either direction because of those shark fin pins. Trying to get on it. But I think we're just waiting on this guy right here. And it needs to go up quite high, in fact, like you would expect from an interactive element. I actually just started using this specific pick in this lock this morning. I hadn't really been picking a lot lately, but I've been trying to get this lock out on some other stuff I'm sending out. I'm off work tonight, so I figured I got off work this morning and I figured I'd have a go at this real quick. And got it open twice before I turned the camera on. That might have been what we were waiting on, pin 1 left side. One of these pins bind very firmly. So I think there might be something stuck halfway up here. This is pin 3 left side. Okay, didn't want to go anywhere. I'm probably using like 3 out of 10 tension or something like that. If that makes any sense. So my job, we use 0 out of 10 a lot. So this pin 1 right side, I got another click on. Oh, pick is stuck. There we go, got it out. Same spot. So, third time. This is what we were talking about. Oh. Tension popped out. Oh, and the lock is open. So, there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing for you real quick. Now that I actually know what the hell I'm getting into. This thing is a nightmare to put back together. I tell you what, I'm not looking forward to. I'm not gonna put it back together right now. I will do it after I sleep and when I wake up. So you see, lock, oh, let me put my hand over here so you're not getting a shadow. Yeah, lock's clearly open. All right, so we're gonna go and relock it. And I'll try and show you what I was talking about with that pin in the back. See if we can even get a look there. Where's my headlamp at? I'm gonna just turn a little bit of, well, it's dead. Maybe you can see it. No, I don't think you can through the viewfinder. Anyways, it comes down right about there. So we're gonna put that thing right there. I'm actually gonna raise my camera stand up a little bit so I can actually do some work. And it not be in my face the whole time. We'll try and keep this thing in frame. I'm gonna refocus it. Something like that. Okay, so cam's on the back. Deal with that the same way we do with every other lock. And take these two screws out of the back. I'm gonna put the key in here, turn it off just a little bit. I think we used the plastic one last time. Yep. Okay. So let's see how I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna do everything like that's facing this way. So pin 1. Well, we'll take the key out now. Make sure you guys can see everything here. So here's the sidebar. If I can get it to, where's the pick at? Get that out. Here is the sidebar. It's made of plastic, I guess, because of the interactive element. I'm just gonna put that right here. Like I said, we're gonna do the lock oriented this way. It might seem a little awkward, but that's the way I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna drop these guys out and not worry about orientation right now. I've already picked it on camera once, and it's just gonna have to be what it is. That is the interactive element. Okay, so if you can see this, you'll see that back here, I'm trying to get this in frame here, you see that, you know, where pin 5 would be on this left side as you're looking at it. It's a much smaller hole. And the pin, I'm not trying to zoom in here without dropping the pin. You can see that tiny little guy right there. I mean, it's way smaller than the other ones. But, so it comes in, and like, you probably can't see it in here. I'm trying to get it to zoom in or to focus, but it's a much smaller hole, and it actually comes in like that. And so the tip of the pin actually terminates over here. So if you're actually picking one of these things, and you're like I was, and you're with a hook down the middle trying to find this thing because you're looking at the key and you haven't seen one gutted before, you know, it's like terminating over here. So, just so you know. So we did it like this. I'm actually going to put this like a reminder to me, even though I have the video. And so it's going to be, those are up there. I'm trying to orient myself here. So the left side is on top here. Just making sure. It's been a long night at work here, so I don't want to screw this up, especially when I'm sending this out to him, that we are going to flip this over and we're going to stick this side up here on the second row. Okay. And I may actually need just a little bit more light here. And I hope that's not like super glary. I see it's kind of a glare, but I don't want to lose any pins. The first time I gutted this thing, I actually had lost a pin and I couldn't find it, and I didn't hear it hit the ground. And then I looked for it, and so I picked in my garage, right? It's kind of my hobby space. And so I walked into the garage, went to grab a beer, and when I got in there, thankfully my wife wasn't in the living room watching TV or anything. I heard just the finest, just barely audible tink, tink, tink on the ground. And so I looked and I was like, surely that wasn't it. And certainly enough, after I looked around for a while, I came back out here and looked, and I was like, it's got to be that pin that I'm missing. And I was wearing sweatpants at the time. I guess the cuff of my sweatpants had caught it. And so when I walked out of the garage and into my kitchen, it was on my cuff. And then when I got into my kitchen, it finally fell off the cuff of my pant, and I found the pin under my refrigerator, believe it or not. Ooh. There's a spring. That was the big problem we had last time. So yeah, so I was gutting this thing last time, and I had everything out, and my camera shut off, and I thought I had everything out, and then I realized that I hadn't yet dropped the springs. That was literally it. And so we are going to make sure we do that immediately this time. So we are going to do a number like this. And I had doubled them up, and some of them had like this one's trying to do, they got stuck together. They're all the same, but it was a pain in the ass because they got stuck together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there's the lock. Nothing crazy about this thing. Like I said, you know, if you can really kind of see the, sorry about that, where this thing terminates, which you really kind of can't. Well, actually, let me put let me put this pin in here. Let's see if you guys can see that. So can you barely see that guy? It's there. See that? It's just barely hanging out there. That's the interactive element that's sitting right here. That looks like, you know, it kind of goes down like that, but you see where it kind of ends up at, right there. Right over here on this kind of outermost edge of these left side of these pins. So, the other thing, Charles, about putting this thing back together, you'll notice that these holes are direction specific, right? And so the pins, so here are the shark fin pins. First of all, you see how pointed they are. That's why your pick is always slipping off of them. But if you can see, perhaps, the kind of, if I can get a really like kind of end thing here, they are directional. So you see these little cutouts here. Actually, let me get some better lighting going on in here or something. I feel like there's a lot of shadows. You can see they're shaped, right? You see those little points right there? So the pins go in only one direction. And since there are 2 rows of pins here in the core, you know, we're looking at it, there's 2 rows of pins up here. So the pins are actually shaped like that, you know, like at a bevel, either way, so the core will spin. So if you look at one of these top pins, they're pretty easy to distinguish how they go, because I'm not certain if you can tell or not, but they're at an angle, right? Like, so this is the part that's interfacing with the core and letting it spin, we'll say, because it's sitting on there like that on an angle. And I'm not looking through my viewfinder, so don't hate me for, you know, stuff popping up like this, because I'm just, you know, trying to work here. But so they sit like that. So they only go in this part one way, and if you can, maybe you can see, you see that how this side has like a slight point that points back this way. These pins do too. And if you look at this profile here, you see that little wing right there? Yeah, that wing right there. It's at a point. If you look at it that way, you can see it. And so when you're putting this thing back together, you know, you get your follower in here like this, and you're trying to put it back together back here. And it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Actually, what I did was I put a follower in here, and I loaded these back 2 chambers. Like, I loaded this. Actually, maybe I just loaded just the one. I loaded this back chamber or something. And then I took another follower, and I put it in here, and I stopped it. And, you know, maybe that seems minuscule, but for me, getting that pin back here was a bit of a nightmare. Actually, what I did was I loaded the second to last pin is what I did, and I had the follower this way through it. And then I loaded this last pin, and I stuck the follower all the way through. And then when I was ready to do the last 8 pins, you know, I pushed this through like that, and then I loaded the last 8 pins. And that actually helped me a lot, and that's what I'm gonna end up doing tonight. So again, you know, here's the sidebar. You know, it's made of plastic, whatever. I'm gonna take you down, I'm gonna unplug my camera and take you down for kind of a close-up of the pins here. Hope you don't mind the rattling. But I haven't organized these pins, but you can see the whole shark fin thing. It's pretty substantial. And so we'll put that guy back up in there. And here's the little interactive guy there. You can see it's a lot smaller diameter than, you know, the rest of the pins in there. And so, like I said, what I did, I started off initially heavy tension, kind of attacked this left side first. You'll see some dramatic core movement. Then I let off the tension, you know, and you got to hold tension backwards because this plug, you can see, I don't know if it's been picked a lot before or what, but you have a tendency for your tension to slip out. And you don't really have like a opportunity for a true like Z wrench like we would normally use for dimple locks. There's just not enough space in here with everything that's going on. So heavy tension, attack this left side, you'll see a lot of core movement. And then I kind of went to the left side and let off the tension and kind of pick things. And like I said, you'll still be seeing a fair bit of core movement. And then kind of once you get to a point where you feel like everything is set, perhaps, and hopefully not half set, then you go ahead and be looking for this interactive element, which ends right here between these two pins. And actually, if I can see if I can do this one-handed, I'll put this key in here. Don't judge me, read it. Let's see if we can see it in there. Not really. But anyways, it ends where it ends. And it ends where, promise you it ends right there. So, so if you're not Charles and you're not the one I'm sending this lock to, and you find yourself picking this and gutting this, then I hope this helps you. The gutting, like I said, I would have 2 followers. I'm using a Sparrow's resin follower, and then whatever this Sparrow's follower is too, and they both work great. This one fits just a little bit small, so I actually used it from the back when I set those initial 2 pins, and I used the resin follower from the front because it is a better fit. When you reassemble this is probably a good time, because if you have some tweezers like this, the pins, the driver pins, they're only going to want to fit in here a certain way, and you're going to have to like be rotating them to try and get them to fit. This is probably a good one to reassemble in a cardboard box. And I don't say that lightly. I don't like the gut. Everyone knows I don't like the gut and reassemble, but I do it. And I told you my story about the pin under the fridge. And those things, you know, they're going to be hard to get in there. And so, you know, you just don't want to lose a pin. And, you know, if I had lost a pin, it wouldn't be a big deal. I didn't get this. I got this lock from Mark chapter 13. He gave me a good deal on it. And he'd send me another one. And, you know, there's some other people like JD who will sell you one. But, you know, I was trying to send this out and for Charles and, you know, some other stuff. Got a goodie in here for you, and I have a surprise, by the way. Not in that, but a surprise that will be here tomorrow. Or Friday, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, rather. And I'll, you know, I'll go ahead and send that stuff out now that I got this thing repicked on camera, good enough for Hall of Fame. But so hopefully this helps you, Charles, and anybody else who finds themselves with this lock. And I hope you guys have a good day and happy Thanksgiving.